Hello, this is a short video to show you a trick called hopping halves. If you've already bought the trick, you'll have had the link to the version which goes on to explain the method and a few tips. If you haven't bought the trick, all you're going to see is the effect and presentation. So let's get down to it right now. My great-great-grandfather went to live in America, and he was a magician, and he used to do a trick with 2 coins. He'd use a $1/2, which was like this coin, and one of the old-fashioned pennies, which is like this coin. And what he used to do, he'd take the 2 coins and show them very clear so everybody could see them. And then he'd take one of the coins, say the $1/2, and while everybody was watching very carefully, he'd take the $1/2 and he'd put the $1/2 in his pocket. And you know what? That's right, it used to jump straight back in his hand. So he'd have a $1/2 and a penny. Now, he taught the trick to my great-grandfather, but he did it slightly differently. He'd still show the coins very clearly to everybody, and he'd let them have a good look at them. And what he used to do, he used to take the penny, and while everybody was watching the penny, he'd take that penny and he'd put the penny into his pocket. And do you know what? Yes, it did. It used to jump straight back in his hand. Well, that was fine, but he taught it to my grandfather. Now my grandfather, he did it slightly differently. He'd still take the 2 coins, and while everybody was, oh, could you hold that for a moment? While everybody was watching, he'd take the penny and no, I've got that wrong. He used to take the $1/2 and he'd put the $1/2 in his pocket. And you know what? It did, yeah, it did. It used to jump straight back in his hand. So he'd have the $1/2 and the penny. And while everybody was watching that, he'd take the penny and he'd put the penny in his pocket. And you know what? The old bugger died, didn't teach me, and I can't do it. So that's the end of the trick.